Hey guys, it's Cloudy here. Just making a video for the all-new Rave Omni Tornado shot. This is a Phys version. I personally love the Phys version. Secrets of Suffering is nice. It gets you really good damage for cheap. But personally, I prefer the Phys version because playing bow builds without freeze and shatters is kind of not a bow build in my opinion. But opinions be opinions, you know? So this is a Phys version. We're Trinity. We are cap crit. We run, you know, Omniscience. Now the scaling and all that's gonna be a bit different. So I can go over the PoB. PoB wise, everything is pretty much the same as your normal tornado shot build. We are of course on the higher end spectrum. So we are running a 12 passive cluster, of course, with attack speed, chaos, increased effect, and life. This gives us a lot of chaos res, a lot of life, and a lot of attack speed. Of course, for here, we only take the top side of the bow wheel, and that's for the crit multi and the crit chance. For bow masteries, we take increase and reductions to projectile speed, and the reason why that is so good is because you take the projectile mastery where you get 15% more projectile speed, and then you stack that with long shot, and we run 4 medium clusters of streamlined and repeaters. So we have a lot of cast or a lot of projectile speed, which is also then therefore turned into more increased damage, which is insane because on most bow builds, you get all the flats, but you never have enough increase. So this helps a lot, and that's also why I have 112 passive cluster as well, because each one also gives 12% increased damage. Well, it's actually a bit more than that. It says 12 in PoB, but these are actually giving 16% each node, which is a lot. 6 chaos res, 13 life, and 4% attack speed. Of course, we have spell suppression. We're spell suppress capped as well. We get crit chance increased by spell suppress damage on here. And then I actually take this node down here as well, Entrench, and I get the 10% spell suppress mastery there as well. And for the reason being is I am able to drop the quartz flask with my mage blood and can spell suppress cap without the quartz flask and lets me run the diamond instead. And the reason why I did that because for phasing wise, we have alternate quality dash where you get 2 seconds of phasing when you dash, right? So that's the only real phasing we need since most of our combat is from range. We're never really in tight situations, and if we are, we can always dash out. Of course, for life masteries, I take 50 life pair. For regen, I take regen while moving here, and the reason why is for blood rage. As you can tell, when you're not killing anything, you degen really fast. But the 2% life regen node makes it so it's only 1% degen, or 2% I should say. And you're a lot less likely to die randomly when you're just waiting, especially when you're bossing. Like, especially like Mavens, as you'll see when I do Mavens, you get the memory phases and all that. The 2% regen node is a big quality of life from keeping you from degenning. Of course, we take the attributes for utmost swiftness, and we get the dexterity per allocated mastery passive skill, which is really nice because we're pretty much taking almost everything because we have precision or efficiency here. We got this here. We got more reservation efficiency there. So, and we got increased mark mastery here. So pretty much we're taking as many passive masteries as possible where it is fit. Now I am using a lethal pride on my PoB. You can use a brutal restraint as well. Personally, I had this lethal pride from my trapper build, and what this does for me is gives me 5% double damage. 5% double damage, 5% double damage, 5% double damage, another 5% double damage, 5% increased strength, and 4% maximum life. So, and then this one also gives like fizz damage taken as fire, so it gives me a little bit of tankiness there as well. But basically, in your brutals or for lethals, you want to try to get double damage and percent attributes. If you're using a brutal, you can actually get aura effectiveness, you can get projectile damage, elemental damage, percent dex, and you can even get like the flask node, I believe, alchemist, genius. but like a percentage on a flask. Now, if you're using Mage Blood, that's kind of useless. So you're basically looking just for percent damages or effectiveness or percent attributes. So yeah, so let's talk about why Phys, why I like Phys, and why I don't like using Secrets of Suffering with bow builds. All right, so with Phys, you are able to scale the aura effect really hard. And on top of that, you don't need to fully stack Omniscience. So the gearing is actually very simple. And the reason why, and I'm sorry if I'm saying Omniscience, it's just that's what it looks like to me. I know it's Omniscience, but I'm going to keep saying Omniscience throughout the video. And if that triggers you, I don't apologize. Anyways, so with Flat Ellie bows, right, that use Secrets of Suffering, or even the Flat Ellie bows that don't use Secrets of Suffering, there's not really much gear, like especially like ring wise, that you can get that'll really scale your damage other than attribute stacking. Now for Phys, that's completely different. And as you can see here, we are running Circle of Guilts. Now, just to give an example, if I were to take a ring, we'll just make it a opal ring for more damage, right? And we'll just give it max attributes. Let's just say like we were to get the nuts ring. So full max attributes and wed. Technically, as you can see here, is a little bit better than my first circle. But my first circle gives me onslaught on hit. So that's why I keep it. So yeah, the build can be min-max a little bit better with like insane rings. Like you'd have to get pretty much T1 wed, T1 life, T1 attributes. Of course, we catalyze it for attributes like that, and you can get better than Circle of Guilts. But that's pretty much if you want to go on the mirror end of the rings, or you can buy cheap, 30x rings and not worry about it. But basically, the reason why Circle of Guilts are so strong in this build is because we run Herald of Purity and we're Phys stacking. And Herald of Purity rings have always been pretty much best in slot for most of the time, just because of how much Herald of Purity buff effect you get from it and how much increased Phys you get from it as well. And of course, for the Amulet, we don't go for the attributes. Ours is actually Hatred Aura Effect, which is better than an increased attribute Amulet because we are Phys, and Hatred is busted with Phys. For boots, we go with Avoidance boots with T1 suppression and movement speed and action speed. For gloves, it's the same gloves for my Trapper. We use the Cold Conversion with Temple mod, and then we also have Gain Rage on hit with attacks now, which is nice because Rage does give you attack damage, attack speed, and movement speed as it builds up. And if you really want, you can run Berserk in your build as well. If you're doing like 100% deli maps or sims and stuff like that, you have access to Berserk, which is so nice. And I can tell you it is really, really nice. For our chest, we have a Hunter Redeemer chest. We have elevated aura effect, elevated attack crit, additional curse. We have the Aisling maximum life, mana, and we have a crafted avoidance and attributes for the crafts. This was actually easy to make. You might look, oh hey, how did you make that without multi-modding? Did you do a non-influence to influence and get lucky? No, there is actually a craft on, well, not a craft, it's a heist enchant, which a lot of people don't know about, and it's called Additional Craft Enchant. And this is an insane mod for crafting not only your 12 link weapons, but also for chest pieces like mine and just anything really. If you can get an item base that you want with this mod, it makes crafting so much easier. Basically, you don't need to have multi-mod. So basically what I did was I elevated the two mods, Awaken and Orbed it, and had an empty suffix. All I had to do was craft a random suffix like Cold Res instead of multi-mod. So you save out on 2x, right? And then I did block suffixes cannot be changed, and I just veiled Chaos Orb until I hit maximum life. After I did that, I can put block prefix, block suffix without multi-mod and that leaves and do Reforged Caster to guarantee the additional curse, and I can't hit anything else. By far, some of the easiest crafting. And then after I did that, I crafted the perfect crafting bench stuff for the void and attributes, and then I removed that enchant and replaced it with maximum life since my chest is now done. So that's how you make the chest. But yeah, other than that, we are running 2 forbidden jewels, of course. Well, the pair. And that's for focal point. Focal point is huge. The reason why that's huge, especially for Sniper's Mark, it's increased effective marks, right? Sniper's Mark's base mark system, as you can see here. Where'd it go? Sniper's Mark. Projectiles which hit cursed enemies splits towards 5 additional targets. That is increased. So every time you hit a boss with this and it has Sniper's Marks on it, it'll split an additional 5 base projectiles outwards. And all of those projectiles can shotgun the same target. So when you have that much increased effective marks, because we also take the mark of here and the increased effect marks here, and you have Cloning Strike against marks to enemy. Now, we are using a mark on hit, so you get 15% reduced, correct? Well, that leaves us at 90% mark effect, which is pretty much 4 additional arrows on Sniper's Mark. So when we hit an enemy with Sniper's Mark, that'll make 9 extra projectiles of Tornado Shot that can shotgun. And that also includes the ones from your Siege Ballista. So you have all these projectiles and attack speed. You're hitting twice every time you attack, right? Well, now you're getting all those extra Tornado Shots that can also evidently shotgun the boss. So yeah, that's that. Of course, we take the accuracy note here for precision, for mana reservation issues. But that's pretty much it for the PoB. For the large cluster, we run Martial Prowess, Feed the Fury, and Fuel the Fight. This is all our leech. And yeah. And then jewels, we just run attack speed, multi-life. This one has reduced mana cost, but you can get attributes that'll technically be more damage. And then I have another one with Corrupting Blood and cannot be hindered. But yeah, that's the PoB. Now for the flasks with Mage Blood, remember this is all Mage Blood related. We have accuracy rating while we have Onslaught because we have an Onslaught ring that is actually massive for us. So that helps us cap. We're like 99% with Onslaught, I believe. Yeah, 99 and 91 against evasive. And then we cap out with the belt while we have Onslaught. So we have an Onslaught ring, which is also very nice. For Flask, we run Granite with Armor Effect. We get attack speed with Jade, and we have reduced mana cost on our Diamond, and then we have movement speed on our Quicksilver. Now the reduced mana cost on the Diamond, a lot of people are having issues with their builds where they're trying to run minus mana rings and stuff like that. Well, this craft alone makes it so my Tornado Shot only costs 2 mana. I actually don't really technically need Mana Leech. Also, it makes your totems also have a lot less mana, so I can actually cast all 3 when I have full mana. And as well as my mark. I don't need inspiration on my mark because my mark only costs 33 mana and I have 57. And when I'm attacking stuff with my leech, I'm always full, so I never have to worry about having not enough mana to do that. So, and this, I don't run Replica Conquerors as you saw in my PoB. I'm literally managing my mana strictly with Divergent Inspiration and with this Mana Craft Flask. So if you have a Mage Blood, you should probably do that. Even with your nice crafted rings on a Elemental Tornado Shot build, you could probably do the same thing with the craft, the Mana Cost craft. It'll probably work the same way, and you don't have to worry about getting minus Mana Craft on your rings, and you can run actual damage mods, like T1 Wed, your Flat Ellie mods, and stuff like that. Quiver, of course, we have a Synth Quiver with additional arrow, and then additional arrow, multi, damage, attack speed, fizz, and crafted life. Probably work on the Quiver a little bit more later. Now, people are asking, your fizz and you're running hatred, and your gloves have, you know, what is it, 60% conversion to cold. How do you proc Trinity? Well, so the thing about conversions is we use Anomalous Tornado Shot. and this converts 60% physical damage to a random element. Now, a lot of you, what you may not know is that conversion on skill gems always take priority over anything else. And the way Tornado Shot works is each individual projectile pretty much can roll this, so you're always doing different types of elemental damage. And then, of course, when it rolls cold, so at all times, we'll always be doing 60% fire, 60% lightning, with 40% cold. But when it rolls cold, we'll be 100% cold. Now, you don't need 25% Phys conversion on the implicit, because you only need a total of 40% cold conversion. So we have 35 on the glove, and then you can get 5. You can get a low roll of the Eldritch mod of getting the conversion. So you don't need 60%. It's just from what I had when I had my Trapper build. So basically, every time you shoot a projectile, it rolls a different conversion and easily procs Trinity. And what's also nice about Anomalous Tornado Shot is it gives us ignites, which is nothing, but it also gives us shock effectiveness. And on stream yesterday, I had done a 6-man HP Maven to test out how much shock we can actually get without investing into anything except only having Anomalous Tornado Shot, and we were able to shock Maven for 36% with 6-man player HP. And I don't know about you, but to me, that is quite impressive for having no investment into any type of increased ailments and only having 60% conversion. And I can just show you real quick on how this works. So, like, if we go to Blood Aqueducts, for example, we'll have to pretty much you'll shoot like a couple packs, but because you have so much projectiles from Tornado Shot, you'll always be filling up your Trinity. So you see here, it's not filling up right now, right? That's because it did not roll, and now we have it. So that's just instantly free, more LA damage, and more pen. Which pen is, diminishing return. But yeah. So here's a little showcase for Maven, so you guys can kind of see the damage we have on it.
The prize piece comes to join my collection.
Basically, I try to stay kind of close to Maven, but not too far, so we can make sure we get proper shotgun. You don't want to be point blank, because we take far shot in our build, right? So we don't want to be too close, but we don't want to be too far either. So I always like to try to stay, like, technically this is considered, I guess, what you would call nearby.
I'm gonna have what I want. This will not be an escape.
Yeah, this is damage. I would probably say this has potentially more damage than my Seismic Trapper, which is
Scurry.
kind of interesting. Now, of course, it's not as tanky, though. It is nowhere near as tanky as my Trapper, because on the Trapper we ran Brass Dome and everything, but that's another thing. This is the tornado. This is the bow league. We're talking about bows. We're talking about how crazy damage we can get.
Irritation is growing. This will not be.
Now imagine if we so this is what I'm talking about for Maven phase. With Blood Rage, if you proc it and she phases, you just lose a bunch of health. But when you have the 2% regen while moving, you don't degen your health like that, which makes it really, really comfy to do boss fights with Blood Rage.
Scurry. How?
Stop resisting. Reality bends. Punishment inescapable.
Toy. This will not be an escape.
I phased it. That's cheating.
Scurry.
I require aid! The living toy must enjoy our contests, or it continues.
There's the filter again. My apologies. Alright. So now there's something that I do a little bit differently. Okay, so for Fizzbow compared to Ellie bows, they all run awakened creative projectiles. And the reason being, they don't have any good support gems. The reason why I do not run it is because of consistency. So for example, we're gonna go ahead and untoggle our siege ballistas, right? And you can take a look at the full DPS here, right? So at max projectiles, we are at 10 without awakened projectiles, right? Without awakened greater multiple projectiles, we're at roughly 170 mil. So that's without GMP. Now let's say we take out increased crit damage, because that's the one we would take out for awakened GMP. Now with awakened greater multiple projectiles, we add an additional 5 projectile counts, but we lost 30 million damage. But not only that, I will show you. So the issue with having too many projectiles, now this was never the case before, but now that we have nice mirror tier items that have 3 projectiles here, another 2 projectiles here, and you get the projectiles on the tree with Dying Sun. So like right now, if you see how my projectile spread is kind of tight. So when I do bosses, let's say this is the boss, I'm always about this range, right? And you always shoot past the boss, because the initial hit of tornado shot can damage the boss, and then all the secondaries can shotgun. So you always want to shoot past the boss like this. But see how my spread is somewhat kind of tight? That gives the most consistency for shotgunning. Now when you run Awakened GMP, the issue you come across is that you have more projectiles, which increases your spread, which makes it a lot more inconsistent for single target. So that's why we don't run Awakened GMP. It's nice for clearing, but for bossing, and even with clearing, you don't really need that many projectiles just because of how many projectiles we already have. It just makes it easier and more consistent to not have the Awakened GMP. Now, unfortunately, that's only the case with Phys, because we have Awakened Vicious Projectile support, which is a lot of damage. This is an insane support for Phys builds. Elemental builds, unfortunately, don't have any real good useful links, and you're kind of forced with the Awakened GMP. But with Phys, I would 100% recommend dropping Awakened GMP. And that saves you money as well if you're trying to do the build on a budget. Now, I would suggest that Phys is very expensive. It is a lot more expensive than the flat elemental SOS version. So do keep that in mind. But yeah, this is my version of Phys Tornado Shot. Maybe we make some rings. Maybe we do this and that. Who knows? But you know, you can always come by the stream. I'm always streaming. I'm sorry I don't update a lot of YouTube content. I'm not really that big of a YouTube contenter. But as in saying that, there really wasn't that many people playing the Phys build, because you know, Path of Matt made the ultimate SOS elemental bow. Everyone's mirroring that. He has over 200 copies made, which is insane. But you know, we don't want to hide Phys in the shadows. Phys is very, very strong. Just, you know, it's a bit pricier, and I don't know, it's always been my favorite. I played it 2 leagues ago as a minor. Now we're doing self-cast this league. But yeah, I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, you know, always feel free to comment below or come by the stream. I'm always streaming every day generally. So yeah, thank you for watching, and have a good one.